The unwritten verse. Have you ever felt the weight of a story that hasn't been written yet? Not the exciting possibility of a blank page, but the crushing certainty of an ending that is already etched in stone, waiting for you at the end of a path you are forced to walk. It's a peculiar sort of damnation. The illusion of choice dangled before you like a puppeteer's string, while the narrator has already penned your final tragic line. My name is a story. Loki. A name that tastes of mischief and betrayal, of silver tongues and shadowed daggers. It's the name of the second son, the afterthought, the necessary villain in a grander, more golden epic. For centuries, for millennia, that was the story I knew, the one I was given. I played my part with relish, you see. I sharpened my wit, polished my illusions, and learned to love the gasps of the crowd as the stage floor fell away beneath the hero's feet. I believed the role was the reality. If the universe required a deceiver, who was I to deny it? My glorious purpose, I called it. A banner I waved with a smirk, a justification for the gnawing emptiness that lived in my chest. It was simple, predictable. It was my cage, and I decorated it with the finest silks and illusions until I almost believed it was a throne. But a cage, no matter how gilded, is still a cage. And then I saw it, the script. Not metaphorically, I mean I literally saw it. My life, my entire existence, spooled out on a cheap, flickering screen in a place outside of time. A bureaucratic office at the end of reality, smelling of stale coffee and despair. They showed me my life as a cautionary tale, a cosmic joke. There was my birth, a frost giant runt left to die. My adoption, a political pawn. My betrayals, each one a preordained step toward my brother's eventual triumph, and my death. Oh, they made sure I watched that part. Strangled by a purple tyrant, whispering my defiance with my last breath, a final futile act of heroism that served only to fuel the hero's righteous anger. A footnote. All of my ambition, all of my rage, all of my pain, it was nothing more than a stepping stone for someone else's journey. A necessary evil, neatly pruned from the timeline once my purpose was served. Imagine the sheer deafening silence that follows a revelation like that. The god of mischief, the master of lies, realizing his greatest lie was the one he told himself, that he was in control. My glorious purpose wasn't mine at all. It was a line written for me by a tired old man at the end of time, a man who had seen every possibility and found them all wanting. He built a wall around a single, sacred story and called it peace. He called it order. But a story that cannot change is not a story. It's a prison. And everyone, from the mightiest king to the lowliest farmer, was an inmate, performing their part on cue, blissfully unaware of the bars. I met another version of me in that place. Her name was Sylvie. She was all the rage I had swallowed, all the bitterness I had refined into wit. She was a broken mirror, and in her, I saw the truth. She hadn't decorated her cage. She had spent her entire life trying to shatter it piece by piece. She lived in the margins, in the apocalypses, the places where the story was ending so violently that no new ripples could be made. She was chaos. Pure, beautiful, righteous chaos. She wanted to burn the script, to kill the narrator, to give everyone for the first time a truly blank page. And I loved her for it. I loved her with a ferocity that terrified me because it was a variable the script had never accounted for. It was real. It was a choice. For a fleeting moment, standing before the man who wrote our lives, we held the pen. She wanted to plunge it into his heart. She saw a tyrant and wanted justice, but I looked past him, at the loom he tended, a loom of time, a magnificent, terrifying tapestry of a single golden thread, and I saw what he saw. I saw the infinite other threads he had cut away. I saw the chaos, the endless screaming wars between infinite versions of himself, each one more monstrous than the last. He wasn't a god. He was a gardener who had chosen to cultivate a single sterile flower because he feared the beautiful, savage, unpredictable wilderness that lay beyond the garden walls. Sylvie thought the choice was simple, to kill him and be free. But I saw the truth. The choice wasn't between freedom and bondage. It was between one tyrant and an infinite number of them. Between one story, however flawed, and a war of all stories that would burn the library of existence to the ground. She couldn't see it. Her pain was a blinding Sunday, so she chose revenge. She chose the knife. And in that moment, as she sent me away, as she broke the one real thing I'd ever known, she broke the loom. The single golden thread frayed, splintered, and branched into an infinity of colors, an explosion of new stories, new possibilities, new heavens, and new hells. It was beautiful, and it was the end of everything. That is the true nature of purpose, isn't it? It's not something you are given. It's not a role you play. It's a choice you make when all other options are ashes. For so long, I craved a throne. I craved recognition, to be seen, to be acknowledged as an equal, as a king. I saw power as a crown, a scepter, a seat of gold from which I could command the narrative. How small my ambitions were. How pathetically, beautifully human. I wanted to rule the story. I never once thought about what it would take to protect it. The branches of time were dying. The new stories, so full of promise, were collapsing under the weight of their own paradoxes. The loom was unspooling, the tapestry turning to dust. And I realized the old man, the gardener, had been right about one thing. Someone had to tend the loom, someone had to hold the threads. But his solution was control. Culling the branches, pruning possibility, he chose order over life. I saw another way, not to control the stories, but to protect them, all of them. Not to be the narrator, but to be the library itself. To be the silent, unseen structure that allows every book, every page, every word to exist. So I walked a new path, not toward a throne of gold, but toward the heart of the storm. I learnt the science of the loom, the temporal physics that bound reality together. I let go of my illusions, my daggers, my silver tongue. I let go of the Loki who was, the villain, the schemer, the lost prince. I let go of the anger, the jealousy, the desperate need to be seen. I walked toward the unraveling heart of everything, and I did the one thing I had never truly done before. I chose. I chose to take the burden. I walked up to that dying, chaotic loom of infinite stories, and I pulled the threads together with my own hands, with my own being. I wove them into a new shape. Not a single thread, but a tree, a world tree, Yggdrasil. A living, breathing, growing thing where every branch, every leaf is a different life, a different choice, a different universe allowed to grow and thrive on its own terms. And I took my place at its center. I became the anchor, the heart. My throne is not made of gold. It is made of time. It is a lonely seat at the nexus of all things. I have no crown, only the weight of infinite possibilities. I have no subjects, only stories I must protect. I can see everything now, every beginning, every end. I see my brother Thor learning to be a father, finding a joy more profound than any battle. I see my friend Mobius, finally seeing the life he was denied, the simple beauty of a jet ski on a sun-drenched lake. I see Sylvie, living a quiet life, finally free from the hunt, a life I helped make possible, a life I can never be a part of. I feel their joys, their sorrows. They are all my story now. It is a peculiar sort of godhood, to have infinite power, and to use it only to give power to others, to be omnipresent, yet to be utterly alone. But the gnawing emptiness is gone. The cage is gone. The pre-written script is gone. My glorious purpose. It was never about ruling, it was about liberating. The price of their freedom, of everyone's freedom, was my own. I hold the threads. I am the god of stories. I am the unwritten verse. And for the first time, in an eternity of my own making, I know what I am for